I want to welcome everyone who might be joining us today. International Market Centers and Design on High Point today presents Working with a Coach, featuring Kimberly Selden with Business of Design. We have interior designer and Business of Design Advocate-in-Chief, Kimberly Selden, and Martha Lowry, an established designer and CEO and President of Design of the Times Incorporated. Today we'll be having a candid Q&A about the relationship, support, and business growth insights that happen when a designer strategizes with a business coach. Just as a reminder, we have High Point Market taking place on site in High Point, North Carolina, and it'll be on site running with appointments and showrooms open through next week. If you can join us, we welcome you. And if you are not able to join us, we welcome you to visit our website, imchighpointmarket.com, where you can find additional resources, CEU opportunities, our catalog connection, pardon me, and just a whole nother realm of digital things that you can dive into. If you have any questions during this candid talk, go ahead and put them either in the chat or in the Q&A, and we'll get to those a bit later. And so right now, I'm gonna introduce, we also have Janine Theories, and she'll be joining us. She's with Business of Design as well. And so ladies, I don't know if you want to just give a brief introduction of yourself.
Why don't you go, Martha? You lead things off. You're a North Carolina native, so there you go.
Right. I'm actually a native of West Virginia, but I've lived here in North Carolina for close to 40 years, so I feel like a Tar Heel. I've been in business with Design of the Times for 27 years now, and I have a background in mathematics and computer science, as well as a degree in interior design. I'm married to my husband, Ron, and we have a cat. And we love living here in North Carolina. We're in Winston-Salem, as they say, the home of tobacco and pantyhose, with between R.J. Reynolds, well, it's now another name, but R.J. Reynolds and Haynes. So anyway, that's a little bit about me.
Beautiful. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. So I'm Kimberly Selden. I am Advocate-in-Chief at Business of Design, and Kim Porter and everybody at IMC has been so great in hosting us for a variety of meetups like this, where we can talk to other interior design professionals. And Kim, we are looking forward to being back live at Las Vegas Market. I can tell you, we all miss it, and we're all feeling the pinch. So thanks for doing these virtual events, so at least we can keep in touch.
Absolutely. Well, we'd love to have you on site and look forward to that as well. Whether in High Point or Las Vegas or Atlanta, we're looking forward to just being together again. Janine?
I'm ready. I'm ready
to
go.
Yeah.
Yeah, Janine,
well, that's the perfect segue. I'm Janine Laudenbach, and I'm the program specialist with Business of Design. And primarily, my job is to help with the special events, the retreats, and all of the things that we get to do at different locations all around the country. And so, yes, when we can get back to business as usual, traveling with our groups, it'll be awesome. And I'm really grateful that we have this opportunity to do this virtual event.
Well, that's wonderful. I'm Kimberly Porter, the Senior Programming Manager for International Market Centers for our Las Vegas and High Point markets. And I coordinate all of the programming, designer events, virtual show houses, networking things that we have going on. And I'm thankful for you ladies today and just joining us here. As we dive in, definitely just as a question, Martha, you've been in the interior design business for many years. What made you decide that now is the right time to work with a coach and with Kimberly?
Certainly. I had to take a little bit of a hiatus from my design business because of some family obligations. I lost my mother about 4 years ago, and my husband had some surgeries and stuff, just life, happened. And I had attended, I guess it's been about 2 years ago now, one of Kimberly's programs in High Point, and I was just very impressed with her approach to the business, her professionalism, and her very step-by-step approach to project management. That all impressed me a lot. As I said, I've been in this business with my own business for 27 years, and I worked for another designer prior to that. I felt like it was a good time to really step back, and especially in the last 6 months, to step back and sort of take stock of my business. I'm approaching 60 in a few months, and I thought, now's the time to decide, do you want to continue with this? Do you want to think about retiring? Not that I really wanted to retire, but I wanted to really take a long, hard look at my business and reevaluate, and talking with Kimberly has just been immensely helpful to me. And her advice as a coach, I signed up for several of her webinars this spring, and then we did some one-on-one coaching and some group coaching, and it was just incredibly invaluable help. She helped me regain my confidence as a designer. I was feeling a little just not as sure of myself and where I was going as a business person. So,
well, that's wonderful to have that support.
Yes, it has been. It has been. And being held accountable.
It's really hard, I think, you took this hiatus, right? It doesn't take very long to be away from the business before you start feeling like you can't do it anymore. It's a really hard business. It's super complicated. It's a bit like double dutch. Remember when you were kids, you played double dutch and you're like, when do I jump in? When do I jump in? I find that too, like even a couple of weeks of vacation, I'm like, I can't do this. So I think we can all appreciate how challenging that must have been. And I think we can also appreciate and relate to how easy it is to lose your mojo, even if you're not taking a break, right? You have one bad project, one bad client who makes you feel lousy about yourself, or you make a mistake, right? You really blow it. You feel lousy about yourself. And it can take some undoing to get back into a rhythm again and feel like, okay, I got this. So I think we can all empathize with that for sure.
I had definitely lost my mojo, because one of my last projects was to be a kitchen remodel with a client who is a wonderful person, wonderful client. And we had contracted with a company to do the cabinetry, a company I had worked with on many occasions. And unbeknownst to all of us, my client, the company was getting ready to declare bankruptcy, and my client had just put down a deposit, a significant deposit on the cabinetry, and she lost that money. And I guess I still feel really, really bad about the experience and feel terrible for her as a client. So yes, it was a combination of those things, and I really did lose my confidence as a designer.
That would be a terrible situation. Anybody would feel terrible in that situation. And I think of anybody who's thinking of doing this on the side, like a little side hustle for fun, don't. It's too hard. You really have to commit yourself and be in it for the long haul. And the one thing I did want to say to Martha, she said she's approaching the big 6-0. I'm also in my late 50s. And people will start to say at this age, like, when are you going to retire? And I'm like, well, not now. I finally know what I'm doing. Like, I just got good at this. Like, leave me alone. So as long as they're hiring, I'm going to be doing this for a long time. I think it keeps you young. So yeah, yay us.
I agree. And it isn't
go right ahead
for the lighthearted. It does take real commitment.
Yeah.
I think too, what we've heard from so many people who come to our events and and take advantage of business of design is that it's in some ways such an isolating business, because you're really on your own, and to have a community of support of people that are like-minded in terms of how to run projects and how to run projects efficiently is such a wonderful thing. When you have a question about how to get something done, there's a community of support that's following the same protocols and steps really to get the job done in a way that works well, both for the business and for the client. So it's that support that I think is most helpful.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, what would you say are some of the key takeaways that you have been useful for you so far, working with Kimberly and the team? What has helped spur on your business and encourage you?
I would say plugging into the 15-step process of project management has been eye-opening. As I mentioned, I have a math background, so I'm sort of a linear thinker, and I've always approached design as sort of a problem-solving business. We meet with clients, they have issues, we try to solve those in a creative, functional, and aesthetically pleasing manner. I think working with Kimberly, and again, her very professional approach to the business. I've long been an advocate of our business taking a more professional approach and really looking at design as it's a business like any other business, and we need to be very conscious of being transparent, communicating with our clients, communicating well with our vendors and our tradespeople. And I think Kimberly just reinforced that. Those, would you say, strong ethical standards, I think have been so important, such an important reminder for me, and really reinforced how I've always sort of approached my business. So it was nice to, not just nice, but it was important to hear it from another designer, and one who is as professional as Kimberly is.
That's so nice. I get so much out of the coaching experience because it reminds me, to stay the course, to follow my procedures and protocols, to not take the shortcuts that I want to take sometimes because I'm creative and I like a little chaos sometimes. Clients don't like chaos. They like a linear process. And I know I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars, over $150,000 at least, on coaching. And, when you're working with a traditional coach, they're great at motivating you. Just keep trying, but they can't tell you what the answers are. And I feel like I don't have time to try 88 things right now. Like, I just give me the answers. So the way that I coach is a lot more prescriptive, like, do this, try that, don't do that. I always feel like it's my job to get the information to the person as fast as possible so they can start seeing the results. And then, because I'm working with clients, like I have client projects right now, like I have fabrics over there and pile of quote requests over there I have to look through. So I try to make it as succinct as possible, I guess.
And that's exactly what I needed. Someone to say, do this, don't do that. And someone who knows the industry so well. So it just made all the sense in the world to work with Kimberly.
That's wonderful. Well, knowing that business is changing a bit and the design business is, kind of at this place where we're transitioning to having, virtual meetings like we're doing right now, rather than the in-person, how is coaching going to, I guess, spur on your business, and how do you see that in place to help you do better in business going forward?
Well, obviously it would be nice to meet in person. And I did have the advantage of meeting Kimberly in person a couple of years ago at High Point, which was wonderful, and having that exchange. But I think, coaching has worked all right via Zoom and on the phone. I think you have to have an open mind to coaching. You have to be willing to step out of your comfort zone a little bit. You have to be committed to the process as well. So I think, no matter how we're doing it, it can be very beneficial. I hope that answered that question.
Oh, yeah.
I just was interviewing someone on the podcast today. She's from New Jersey. Her name's Lisa La Liberté. And what she said was so funny. When she first found Business of Design, she heard me speak, and she heard some of my recommendations, and she's like, that's crazy. That is not going to work, But she's like, well, what, which I hear that. And that was my reaction to my coach too. She wanted me to try things. I'm like, that's not going to work. Well, the thing is, what Lisa did is she decided that she didn't think what I suggested was going to work, but she knew what she was doing wasn't working. So she said, I'm just going to try it and see how bad it is. And of course, then it worked. And she's like, oh my God, this is so amazing. And I had the exact same experience working with so many coaches where I would fight about a suggestion. And then I would just try it, even though I didn't think it would work. And it works so much better. So I think part of it is just abandoning what's not working, like being realistic about, because I just defended when I first hired a business coach, I just defended my processes. No, but this is how we do it. And she would say, but it's not working. And I'd like, well, it works sometimes. And then she'd say, well, then that's not working. You don't, when you go to Starbucks, you don't want the coffee to be right sometimes. It has to be right every time. So that was really delayed my progress. It's just not letting go of what I thought I knew.
I would agree. I think you have to be willing to let go of what has not been working, even if it's somewhat entrenched in your processes. I think you have to really just say, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to be committed to it. I'm going to let go what I need to let go and move on.
That makes sense. Going into some of the logistics, so whether it be in person or virtual, about how much time should a designer be expecting to spend with a coach from both of your perspectives?
Okay.
I would say for mine, you go ahead, Martha. You go ahead.
Sorry. I think you need to spend as much time with the coach, not a prescribed amount of time, but as much time as is helpful. And that could be an hour, that could be several hours. I plan to do some more coaching with Kimberly. I took a little month break. My husband and I were away for a little bit, and I plan to get back to it. So I think I
would say some of the coaches that I worked with were really long-term relationships, but it was partly because they didn't have solutions for my problems. They only had the skill set that pushed me, that motivated me to keep looking for solutions. So I worked with one business coach for 8-9 years, another one for 3 or 4 years. That's a really huge investment. And so our philosophy is we don't feel like anybody has that much time. And plus some coaches are good and some aren't, like that's the truth, or sometimes it's dynamics that doesn't work for you. So I feel like 2-3 hours, we should be able to solve a multitude of problems, and you should go out and see if it worked. And if it worked, come back. If you actually tried it and it worked, come back. And then we'll do more if you need to. But, we really are all about getting that information out as directly as possible and avoiding all the theory, like so much theory. Oh my gosh, please, who's got time? I don't have time for that.
And I've heard Kimberly say too, it is a coach in some ways, is like a personal trainer. And the more you're able to actually do the things that your coach suggests, the more effective that process is. So a lot of that process is dependent on the willingness of the person who's actually receiving the coaching.
Mhm.
For sure.
I would definitely agree with that. And I think, you know, so far I've been able to put together a new business plan. I've redone my contract. I've redone my website. So I'm moving along. I'm contacting my previous clients. So, but I know Kimberly's going to hold me accountable for doing those things and actually taking action. And I think that's what's important.
Well, definitely.
Yeah.
Knowing that your time is billable, what are some of the tangible or financial benefits that you've seen?
Well, one thing is Kimberly has encouraged those of us in the design business to raise our rates. And I have indeed raised my rates. And it just makes sense, you know, perceived value. So I think that's going to, you know, be a huge, huge boost financially. And again, taking it as a serious business and approaching it in a professional manner. Communicating a lot with clients. I've talked with an acquaintance of mine who's working with an interior designer, and this particular interior designer is not communicating well with this client, and it's frustrating the client. And I think, you know, we just, communication is key. That's all I can say. But
Yeah, I think the only reason interior designers ever get fired is because they haven't managed the client's expectations. And so I constantly have to tell my client, here's what's going to happen now, here's what's going to happen next. And you tell them again, and you tell them again, and you tell them again, so that they never have a question, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's funny, Kim, like people will come to a 1-hour seminar at High Point, and I'll say, here's 3 things you can do to make more money right now. And I guarantee, I mean, I would bet anybody $1 million, if they would do those 3 things, they would make more money right now, starting today. But it's about willingness, and it's about, you have to face the fear and do it anyway, right? Because it's scary.
Right.
It's scary for all of us to raise our rates. I'll never work again. No one will ever call me again, right? Or to log all of your hours. Oh, that took too long. I'm not going to write that down because that took too long. Or that was so fast. I'm not going to write that down because that was so fast, right? And before you know it, you're leaving $100,000 on the table at the end of the year, and you tell yourself that's okay because you're not in it for the money. You know, you just want to make clients happy. But the fact of the matter is, you can make more clients happy if you make a living doing this, right? You can do a better job satisfying your clients if you can make a living, and you can support the community too. There are, how many suppliers are there at High Point right now? Thousands?
I think so. Mm-hmm.
Right?
Absolutely.
I mean, we can't support them if we don't sell product, and we can't sell product if we don't make our clients happy. So there's no benefit to not earning a living and being profitable right now. Everybody wins when we're profitable. And, you know, the thing that's so frustrating, and Kim knows this more than anybody because she works so closely with so many suppliers and vendors. We're $1 billion industry, and the interior design professionals sometimes act like they're just at the table for scraps, when it's like, we are the engine of the industry. We say what people should buy. We direct them to make purchases over and over and over and over again. Like, we are the best tool there is for suppliers and vendors. And sometimes I think they don't know that because we just don't step up and, you know, work more closely with them, I think.
I think
I agree. Yeah.
One thing Kimberly has mentioned before is, you know, building relationships with your vendors is really important, and supporting those vendors by purchasing and recommending their product.
Well, Kimberly, do you suggest specific vendors, or do you leave it up to the designers to search out those on their own?
Oh, officially, Business of Design doesn't support one vendor over another. And in fact, we've been extremely extremely selective about who can even sponsor events or sponsor a podcast. I will recommend somebody if it's somebody I use and they're not paying me and it's somebody I use and they do great work. I might recommend that personally, but we don't dissuade people from working with whomever they want. I think what we do is we push designers to ask more of their suppliers, to use them to make their projects better. Like, what's the use of me telling clients you should buy this sofa, this chair, and this table, and this lamp without having a conversation with the vendor to say what's new, what's the benefit of this, how can I sell this $12,000 sofa to a client who thinks $6,000 is enough to spend on a sofa, right? Those vendors and suppliers have information we don't have, and yeah, I just think we need to lean into those relationships a little bit more. But I mean, obviously the vendor has to make a living. If you're constantly picking their brain and not giving them any business, they're not going to spend more time with you. So pick some vendors and keep them in business. Like get them jobs, right?
I have to say,
Absolutely. Go ahead.
I have used some of the same vendors over my 27 years. And have established some good relationships, but I think that's a constant issue for our industry is establishing those strong relationships. And Kimberly's right, they do have great information about what goes into that product and what makes it a valuable purchase. So I think we need to really push that and pursue that.
Well, knowing that, you know, the business world has changed and so has the design business, with some of these recent shifts, what have you seen come out due to the pandemic? Are there new business practices or resources available to designers? What's your take on it overall?
Do you want Martha to answer?
It could be to either one of you. I mean, knowing that there's resources from, you know, a coach's perspective and as the coachee.
I think obviously purchasing on the internet has become such a big deal. And I think there are pros and cons to that. I wouldn't necessarily personally purchase a sofa on the internet. But I think our clients are much more savvy about products than they used to be, perhaps, or just have more information available. And I think we need to respond to that and respect that.
Mm-hmm.
Some of that information
I also,
and some isn't.
yeah, exactly. I was going to say, I also think clients are making these purchases on the internet and they go like, oh my gosh, I hate this. It's not comfortable. I don't like it. And I think that more and more, we're going to have to rely on places like High Point and IMC Market at Las Vegas to go and meet the manufacturers, to sit in their soft goods, to test out the case goods, so that when we're specifying on behalf of clients, they may not be able to go to a local showroom and see an item, but we can say, I personally went and sat on this sofa when I was in North Carolina, or I sat on other sofas by this manufacturer, and I know it's quality construction. I know it's going to be comfortable to sit on. I know it's a brand that I trust. I can rely on them. I don't think they're going to be going out of business. Back to Martha's point earlier, I had the same thing happen to me in 2008, where a couple suppliers went under, and that was very painful. So I think clients are experimenting right now. They're at home, they're clicking Wayfair, and they're ordering a sofa and a chair, and they get it home and they go, not quite right. Good, enjoy it. Have a good time, because that's going to keep us very busy in the future, right? But it's going to mean, I think, also that we have to do more work on our own to go try out the manufacturer's products, the vendor's products, to sit in their in their upholstered pieces, and then pick a lane. You know, if I go to this particular vendor, every single time I sit in their sofas and chairs, they're so comfortable. So I'm going to work with that vendor, and I'm going to tell my clients that's the vendor you should work with. That's who I want to work with because I know the product is good.
You have a track record, and
Yeah.
I'm fortunate being in North Carolina, and I've been attending market for over 30 years for that very reason, to know the products that I would specify to my clients.
I think too, we've been able to adapt. Kim mentioned that the market is open and a lot of the suppliers are making appointments. And so they're taking into consideration some of the protocols we have during this time, but they're still really willing to reach out and accommodate these changing times so that designers can go out and touch those goods and sit on the sofa and so forth. So I think we've become more creative in terms of how to still get the work done given some of the constraints that we have.
And we're also telling clients right now, like, we're super busy and there's delays everywhere. And so you can expect that. We're not going to be able to turn things around as quickly as we used to, which, by the way, was never quick to begin with. But I just was talking to a couple clients and I said, I'm going to be in a Vegas market. I'll be there live. I'll make some appointments and I will do some of the sourcing when I'm there, which means you're just not going to get the product as quickly as you want it. But, you know, otherwise I'm not going to take a shot in the dark that I'm going to be able to satisfy you. So everybody knows they're not getting anything this year. It's coming next year and they're fine with it. Like, that's the reality, right? We work with the real world, so.
Well, and it's that open communication with the vendors. Again, establishing those relationships, whether it be through internet, through virtual, or on site, and really getting into those nuts and bolts of what's going on and how far are the lead times. And for those joining us, we also have International Market Centers has put together for High Point our catalog connection, which is on our website, which is a resource that you can use. It is a collection of the catalogs from our exhibitors, and you can browse through them. You're not going to be able to touch and feel them, you know, the products themselves. That's what on-site market is for. And, you know, for our other markets, whether it be Las Vegas or Atlanta, we also have Shop Zio, which is a resource for those who want to actually purchase. We have that direct access to our exhibitors. As a designer and retail business, you can go on and shop directly with our exhibitors. So those are new forms of, you know, resources we've made available from what we've seen the need. And those will continue to go on and, you know, just get better as we go into the new year. Speaking of coaching now, again, Kimberly, what would you say, you know, are some of the qualifications for a designer, you know, looking to hire a coach? What do you look for, or what should they be looking for? Martha, what did you look for when you were looking for a coach?
I was looking for someone who had a similar thought process to my own, had a similar approach to the business as my own. I've attended many seminars through the years, and some have been beneficial, others not as much. And I just, as I mentioned before, I was impressed with Kimberly's professionalism and her step-by-step approaches, her emphasis on ethics, integrity, communication. Those all really struck a chord with me. And
such a good question. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Martha.
That's okay. And I felt like her fees were reasonable for coaching.
It's so funny because I'm always telling designers to raise their fees, and yet Business of Design is the most affordable coaching and business training that there is. And that's because when I started Business of Design, I didn't start it as a business. I just wanted to share what I was learning from my business coaches. I mean, you start plunking down $150,000 to make your business better, and your business starts getting better. I just wanted to tell someone. Like, it was so exciting and thrilling to me. And before you knew it, I was flying all over here and there doing free talks. And my design team staff said, this is crazy. We need you in the office. You need to be billing hours. No more of this like little hobby you have on the side. So along came Cheryl Horn, who said, no, we're gonna turn this into a business. But my goal with the business was not to retire with millions of dollars. My goal is truly to transform the industry one design professional at a time. I was so frustrated with paying for expensive coaching and paying for expensive seminars to get nothing out of it. I mean, I remember flying to Chicago for a conference, and it was like $4,000 US plus a hotel, plus this, plus that. I got absolutely zero, nothing at all from the conference. And as I was leaving, I was talking to other designers, and they said, yeah, well, but it's so good to see each other. I'm like, we go to High Point and see each other for free. You don't have to pay $4,000 to see each other. You should demand something for $4,000. You should get something out of it. So we're not priced. Our price doesn't reflect our value. I mean, really, truly, I believe what we teach at Business of Design, the value is immeasurable. It's priced so that every single person can get on board, because the industry is definitely suffering from a lack of order, and interior designers are suffering from a lack of, order and process. So
I think too, back to the question about what do you look for in a coach, I think what I love about Business of Design, and Kimberly in particular, is that she has run a successful design business. And I think that most designers feel fairly comfortable with their ability to design a beautiful space. I think what we've heard from our members is that they lack confidence in how to run a business, and Kimberly knows how to run a business. And because of the years she spent doing that, developing those processes and systems, that's what she's sharing with designers. So for me, if I'm looking for a business coach, design business coach, it would be somebody who runs a successful design business, for sure.
And we don't know of any program that's $10,000 or $19,000 or $20,000 that comes close to what we teach at Business of Design. And I can say that because we have hundreds of members who have taken those programs and been very disappointed and come over to Business of Design, where there's just no fluff, there's no fat. It's just, here's how to run the project. So I think that if you're thinking of hiring a business coach, and it's not going to be us, sign up for a limited amount of time and see if you get tangible results. And if you don't, move on. Like my mistake was signing up for big packages and expensive attempts to revamp things, only to discover they had no idea how to do it either. So that's lousy. Don't do that.
Well, here's a question from one of our viewers. As an interior designer who is just getting back into the game after children, what is your suggestion for getting her name out, or their name out, to secure jobs?
We get this a lot. Yeah, this is not a business training question. This is a marketing question. Getting that first customer is always the hardest one. And after that, if you've done your job right, that person will turn into a referral and a repeat customer. But if I was I'm just going to assume that you feel like you're starting from scratch, because if you've missed a couple of years, like Martha can relate to that, you might actually feel like you are literally starting from scratch. So if I was literally starting from scratch, I would do a couple of things. I might reach out to a couple of retail design shops that I loved the furniture and I loved the vibe. And I would say, I want to work with clients who want to buy your furniture. So help me find my first client. Like I want a client who's going to think this is the best place to shop in the whole world. So that's one thing you can do. You might offer your services for a limited amount of money to a public commercial enterprise, like a local coffee shop. Like what I did when I first started out is I did my girlfriend's bedroom. Well, there was not a lot of traffic in my girlfriend's bedroom, so I didn't get any customers from that little endeavor. And it was hard to work for friends, right? So if I had to do it again, I'd find a little restaurant or a little coffee shop, and I'd say, let me do all the work, but all you have to do is promote me to somebody else. So those are a couple of ideas. Martha, what do you think?
I would agree. I think that's a great suggestion. I think getting out into the community is really important, and you can also make contacts through volunteering for something you feel passionate about. You just never know where you might meet that next client, but I think get out in the community, get out and go to retail stores, talk to the tradespeople you've worked with. Those are all, I think.
Ask for the job.
Yes, it's the
Right?
ask.
Ask for the job. That was one thing I was so shy about, but just tell someone I'm looking for work. I'm looking for an interior design project. Who's doing a kitchen? Who's doing a bathroom? And it's funny, like the more virtual life gets and the more we come to rely on social media, the more I'm convinced that the best networking is face-to-face networking. Zoom to Zoom works too, I guess. But face-to-face networking where you tell somebody what you're good at and then you ask for work, right? And I don't know anybody who's making a fortune off Instagram posts or Facebook posts. Maybe they're out there, but I don't think so. So I think it's about getting the client and then making the clients you have happy. Make them happy so that they become brand ambassadors for you, right?
Right, absolutely. It's the human connection, and that's a big part of our business is the human connection.
How do you see that transitioning, for the rest of the year going into next year? Are you making any changes personally of, how you're doing business, or are you looking, like you're saying, more in person? What do you see transpiring? Business of Design, is it going to be more virtual, or is there still going to be, events taking place where people can network and get together and learn?
Well, the challenging thing for Business of Design is that our members come from all over the world, but even if you just use Canada and the United States, that's a very wide area. And what hasn't happened is uniformity in terms of the health of various cities. So one city's going down and the other city's going up. So there really hasn't, it's back to that double Dutch game. There really hasn't been a time where we can say everybody's going to be okay to join us on this date. Our hope is that in 2021, we will be able to run our retreat live, and then in 2022 be back live at Las Vegas Market. However, we're open to figuring out how to do some kind of event where maybe we meet outdoors and we keep a safe distance, maintain whatever health and safety protocols we need to do to keep everybody safe. It's tricky. It's like we're walking on quicksand here.
Well, and I think we're
Absolutely.
fortunate with our message because so much of the important information that Business of Design has, either coaching or courses, is all online anyway. So the information is available, and so some of that for us hasn't changed. I think the networking aspect and the getting together and really having intimate conversations about where designers struggle and how we can help each other face to face, that's something I know I miss, but I'm grateful that so much of what we have in terms of coaching and mentoring is available online. So.
And it's helpful, even though it's online, and we can't be in person right now. The group coaching online has been very helpful. The podcasts and webinars on Business of Design have also been incredibly helpful, as well as the videos that are on there.
Yeah.
Going through the 15-step process. I've watched them all.
Oh my gosh, they're totally redone now, Martha. Completely and totally different now.
I'm committed to watching.
They're so much more robust now because 15 years later, I know more, right? We've added more systems, more processes, more protocols, more handouts, more forms, more standardized forms. Like, it's crazy how robust it all is. In terms of client projects, Kim, we have been meeting on site with trades. We're wearing masks. We're keeping 6 feet apart. We're keeping the doors wide open. when we're there. We're limiting the amount of time we're in the house. We move out to the deck or the patio as often as we can. And then we're just having to stagger our trades. Like we just can't have a full house full of trades right now. It's not safe, and I don't want to be responsible for anybody else getting sick. So all the projects are taking a little bit longer, but we haven't had any client who doesn't understand that, and they've been very gracious about it, and they're just so happy to be renovating. You know, every single one of them is saying, I wish I had done this last year. I wish I had done this the year before. So we're like, that's okay. We're here. We're not going anywhere.
Absolutely. Well, and it's good to have, you know, new ways of doing things to keep everyone safe. As a coach, how do you begin your work with a designer? Do you have an initial consult, or do you just jump right into the 15-step process? And can you speak a little bit about your online program?
Of course. Oh, thank you. It's so funny. I've taken so many coaching sessions. I've purchased so many. I really hate those initial first coaching sessions where you talk about what's your blue sky vision for the future, and if you could be a bird and fly over blah blah blah. I don't want to do any of that. So usually what we do is what's not working for you right now. Okay, let's fix that today. Let's, like, in the first hour, let's fix that one thing. You go out and you tell me if that fixes it, and if it does, then we'll fix the next thing, right? So it's much more pedantic, much less touchy-feely woo-woo, I guess is fair to say. And Business of Design launched its online programming in 2010, and it was literally the result of, at the time we had 13 interior designers on staff, and I had introduced profit sharing every year. So we were, and we continue to be very profitable. So I had a profit sharing program, and the interior design team got annoyed that I was spending so much money flying all over the country speaking to interior designers for free. And they said, well, we don't want to pay for that. That's not our problem. If you want to do that as a hobby, go ahead. And so I'm like, well, that's a fine attitude when I'm profit sharing with you people. But anyway, so we decided to create the courses, film the courses, and put them online. And back in, when we launched Business of Design in 2004 and even 2010, there was no such thing as online learning. So we had to create a custom website to deliver all these big videos. And of course, now technology is catching out. So the revamped site is much more linear, much easier to use, less clicking around. It's just much more robust. But you could literally spend 3 months, full time watching courses and implement, and never have to come back again, in fact. But people come back, and I keep coming back because for whatever reason, we're just kind of hardwired to be creative and loose. And so even though I know the rules, and even though I know that I'm supposed to follow the rules, I'm always the idiot who wants to break the rules. Like, I'm always the one who says, don't worry about a purchase order. It's just that one thing. I'll just send an email and it'll be done. And then of course it blows up in my face, costs thousands of dollars. And I'm like, oh, when will I learn? And so I always tell everybody, it's like AA. You go to AA and you get sober, but you don't quit going to meetings. You have to keep going to meetings. So we make it super affordable so people can hang around for a long time. And what's really been gratifying is we actually have members who joined us in 2004 who are still members. And I get goosebumps when I think about them, how long I've known them and how long. Yeah, we've been on a journey together a long, long time. So it's kind of cool.
Martha, how long have you been working with Kimberly?
At least 2.5 years now. From the time I first attended her seminar in High Point, and then I joined the Business of Design. And like I said, I've used the website very extensively and found it to be incredibly helpful. It's worth it. It really is, and has just, again, I say, helped boost my confidence again. And reminded me of why I'm an interior designer and why I enjoy doing what I do and what I'm in it for. And that's obviously, yes, to be profitable, but also to make, make good, functional, creative, attractive spaces for my clientele and to make them happy and feel good about the homes that they're living in. And that it's, especially now that it's a place of comfort and rest and relaxation. I think we all need that right now.
Yes,
Very
we
much
do.
so. Any departing words, encouragement, ideas of how to seek out the right coach?
Well, I would say for me, I feel like I've found the right coach. I think, do your research, check out different people, different coaches. But I think for interior designers, finding someone who's run a successful interior design business is really key. And, I know I sound like a cheerleader for Kimberly because I am a cheerleader for Kimberly and what she's doing and how she's doing it. And I can't.
That's very sweet.
So,
We do appreciate the support, I have to tell you. We
Thank
really
you.
do.
I would
We have so many, oh, go ahead.
So I would just say I would encourage if you haven't taken a look at your business in the last few years and really done a good analysis of what you're doing and what you're doing right and maybe what you need to change, it's time to get a coach.
We have really lofty ambitions at Business of Design. I would really, really like to start working on courses for schools, because I feel like in design school, there's such a gap between what you need to know and what you end up knowing. So that's a project we'll start working on as soon as 2021 rolls around, which we're very excited about. But also, I think there needs to be some industry-wide changes. There are just so many limitations on interior designers in terms of being able to procure goods and services on behalf of clients that don't make any sense. So for example, if I'm a homeowner and I've never done a kitchen renovation in my life, I can hire anybody I want and I can be the project manager as a homeowner who's never done it before. But if I'm an interior design professional with 25 years experience, I can't act as the project manager for that client. That's crazy. And our industries are just going along with these kinds of ridiculous laws. I don't know why, when we need to, as a unified voice, we need to stand up and advocate for our industry and make sure that we're in the best position possible to make money and to satisfy clients. Because the fact of the matter is, before I was making money, I wasn't making clients happy. It's not like I was making clients really happy, but I wasn't making money. I was terrible at all of it, and the clients were miserable. Now that I make money, I have clients that I adore and come back to me year after year. In fact, I just got a call today from a woman probably doing a 5th project for her, which is amazing. Like, imagine working with someone 5 times. Like, it's a shorthand now. I know, oh, I know what you like. Don't you worry. I got it. We're on it. Like, it's so good, right? So we have a lot of work to do at Business of Design, and we hope to be a unifying voice in the industry. That, you know, we've reached out to various associations trying to get some, as Janine knows, we've flown to different headquarters to meet with various organizations and associations, and we just can't seem to get them on board, but we're not giving up.
Good.
Yes, don't give up. No, I mean, we have a couple people chiming in that they're really happy to hear that you're looking to incorporate schools. Just that is a definite need out there, and we see it from our side as well. So education is always important for the continuing designer, the new designer, and for those who are still in school. We want to support that as much as we can.
Yeah.
And with that, how can those who are viewing be in touch with you, whether at Design of the Times or Business of Design?
Through my website, which is www.designofthetimesinc.com. It's a long title, sorry. But that's the best way, and there's a contact page on there, and I would be happy to talk with anybody in our profession and answer any questions that I possibly can.
So nice. And we're at businessofdesign.com. And we hope to be back at High Point in the spring, fingers and toes crossed, but I'll see you if you're in Vegas in January, Kim, hopefully we can see you because I've got some sourcing to do with suppliers. So I'll be there. You all have a mask on, probably.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
guessing. I
We
don't know.
all will. Yes.
Yes.
Seems like.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I want to thank you, ladies, just for taking some time and giving us an insight really into the relationship between what it's like as a designer and as a coach, and how that can work and be beneficial. For those of you joining us, thank you for joining us. Again, High Point Market is taking place on site with all the safety precautions. We are encouraging appointments, and for those who can't join us on site, we have our resources available on our website. So have a wonderful afternoon, and thank you, ladies, for joining us.
Thank you, Kim. And
Thanks, Kim.
Thanks, everybody.